fitness, wellness and inspiration. For the first timers today, we have a 5-minute fitness segment after the break, and we'd encourage you to join us with your friends, family members, children or grandchildren. You don't need any special fitness equipment, and it's a fun thing to do every week. The first segment today is a great one. Even our cameraman found it very interesting and eye-opening. Did you know that we hear with our brain? We're talking with audiologist Andrew Campbell about hearing loss and how, if not addressed, it can have a negative impact on relationships, socialization, brain fitness and overall health. A must watch for all ages. Lastly in the show, we chat to Tom, an author from the Bayside U3A Writers Group, who has written multiple non-fiction books and has now decided to try his hand at fiction. Maybe you'll be inspired to write a book you've been thinking about. Hearing and brain health. Did you know these were connected? Well, today we're at a workshop with Andrew Campbell, Independent Audiologist and author of Hearing and Brain Health, and also Your Resilient Brain.
We see a number of people that have already, made an attempt to have their hearing loss treated and have found their hearing devices sitting in the top drawer in the bathroom cabinet more than they're actually on their ears. And what we tend to find is that when people understand the links between their hearing health and their brain health, then we start to see the condition in a different light and get a better grasp on what are the things that we can do to actually treat this condition.
Welcome to Over 50 So What?
Well, thanks for having me here, Carol. It's great that you could come along to our session today.
Yes, well, I mean, people over 50, that's probably one of the critical ages where you could start considering looking after your hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. We tend to see age-related changes happening with hearing from about the age of 55 onward.
And you're an independent audiologist.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly does an audiologist do?
There's kind of two main types of audiologists. There's diagnostic audiologists and rehab audiologists. So I'm a rehab audiologist and I specialise in adults. And basically we're about the non-medical management of hearing loss. With rehab, we're mainly working with hearing aids, or we like to call them hearing devices. Also cochlear implants come into that category as well. And overall, our main goal is to help facilitate full participation in life.
So someone's turned 50, maybe they've noticed some hearing decline, or their partner's told them they've got some hearing decline, and they decide to come along to you. What happens then?
Yeah, so basically we get a good understanding of that person's lifestyle, an understanding of what may have been some factors that have caused some hearing loss. We explain the test process and ideally what we're really looking at. So primarily in audiology, we're looking at how a hearing loss may be impacting on speech understanding. So we assess that by finding the softest sounds that someone can hear. We develop a graph, we call it an audiogram, and that gives us a good gauge of their hearing sensitivity. And we also want to know how that hearing loss, if they do have hearing loss, how that's impacting on speech understanding. So we have them repeat back a few words and we're trying to get a gauge of their underlying speech clarity. Once we have those results, we can explain them in a way that helps them understand how that hearing loss may be impacting on day-to-day speech and what we can do about it in terms of correcting for that hearing loss.
I think a lot of people maybe sort of think that a hearing aid or a hearing device is just going to amplify what they're hearing, but it's so much more than that with different ranges of sounds. Can you just talk a bit more about the complexity of what's going on?
Yeah, I've been doing this kind of work for 23 years, and the advancements in technology that have occurred in that time period are nothing short of astounding. 23 years ago, hearing aids were kind of like, you could almost describe them as being magnifying glasses in a way where they just turn the volume of everything up. Also, when I graduated, we were actually fine-tuning them with screwdrivers.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, nowadays they're linked to computers, and we've got literally thousands of adjustments that we can make because everyone has a unique prescription for their hearing loss that's designed to maximise speech understanding. What we're able to do is put tiny little microphones into the ear canal and fine-tune the devices to that prescription to get an accurate, objective correction for that hearing loss. Another thing too is that we're able to really prioritise speech sounds versus noise sounds. So within the processing of the devices, our main goal is to really prioritise speech and to, particularly for understanding conversation in background noise.
Now let's get to the big one where you've written your books, the connection with your hearing and brain health. Can you talk to us a bit about that?
The major research on that came out in 2011, and at that time I was actually running clinics between Singapore and Malaysia. In Australia, around a third of people that need hearing devices have them. In the countries I was working in Asia, only about 2% of people that need them have them. And there's a bit of an urban myth of the time to address a hearing loss is when you can't really hear much at all. And typically that means the hearing loss has been around for quite a long time, often up to 20 years. I was seeing signs of cognitive decline in a lot of my patients, and for the first time we had really good quality research to really quantify and describe exactly what's going on. So I became very interested in the field, and I've done a bit of extra training in the neurosciences. I've lived and worked over in the United States for a while and noticed that the incorporation of cognitive health into hearing health is far more advanced there than it is in Australia. So a lot of clinics there actually do cognitive screening as part of a hearing test. What the research is telling us is that we can get improvements in cognitive function with hearing devices, provided that they're the right hearing devices, provided that they're fitted correctly, and provided that people keep them in consistently at least 12 hours a day. The thing is, the things that will give us the cognitive benefits also result in the practical day-to-day benefits. I mean, the difference in outcomes that people get, just in terms of satisfaction and benefit they get from their hearing devices, the people that keep them in on a really consistent basis versus those that wear them occasionally, kind of like reading glasses, it really is like chalk and cheese. So I often find that people are willing to put up with the nuisance of hearing loss, but when they understand the implications for their brain health, then they start to see the condition in a bit of a different light, and they're more likely to establish the habits of keeping the devices in consistently, and as a result they just do way better.
I've had hearing loss for quite a long time, and I have worn hearing aids, but more basic level. But about a year ago I went to one of Andrew's seminars, and I followed up by going to see Jeffrey, and the difference in what he prescribed for me has been life-changing. So I'm very happy with the hearing devices that I have now. Before getting these, if I went to a social function with a lot of noise, I just felt like I had to take out my hearing aids or leave the function. It becomes a bit overwhelming, but with the ones I have now, it's so much better. And I can teach English and hear well. I can hook them up to my TV, my phone, my computer.
Wow.
So it's great.
What we see frequently in our clinics, we see our patients that come in, they're a bit withdrawn, they're a bit down, a little bit kind of unresponsive. A great thing about doing this kind of work is that a lot of the patients that we see that are suitable for hearing devices and that are open to treatment, they can go home hearing better that same day. And we often see 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, a different person coming into the clinic. You know, they're engaged. You can just tell that their ability to converse with you is far less effort, and it's just kind of like a bit of a load's lifted off them. It's really quite wonderful.
this with a friend now, which friend are you going to have over next week to do it with us? Now take a clap. And we're going to take it around in a circle. Easy peasy. Now round the other way. Excellent. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now feet apart. Actually feet together. We're going to step to the side, back to the middle, side, back to the middle, side, back to the middle, side. Now just going to do it to the right, 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 right. That's it, right. So you're putting your weight over on that bent leg. Bend and bend. That's it. This is great for falls prevention. Great for your balance. All right, you ready? Other side. So we go. Transfer the weight over. Just keep it small if you're not very stable, or hang on to a chair or something else. Just watch Faye. That's it. 2 more. Hold it there. Now we're going to do one each side. That was a preview before. Other side. That's it. Good stuff. We're doing it. Are you doing it? If you're not doing it, get up. Do it. Or if you're sitting in your chair, just get your legs moving. That's it. All right, I'm going to show you, we're going to take it to the back, so I'm going to show you sideways. We're going to take the weight back. This is the right foot, and back together. So we go back, together, back, together. Just the right leg, back, together, faster. Here we go. Back, together, back, together, back. See how your weight's going back? So you're putting your weight on the back foot. Nice straight back. Okay, ready to do the other leg? Last one. Back, together, back, together. That's it. I'll show you sideways again. Back, together, back, together, back, together, back, together. That's it. Back, together. Really get that weight moving back. Oh, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. We're going to do the toe taps. Let's do it. Tap. Tap and clap. Oh, oh, oh. Hey. Oh. Ready to go around the circle? Okay, around the circle. I'm going to go around Faye though. Hey, looking good, baby. Okay, other side. Tap, front, tap, front, tap, front. Okay. Well done. That's your 5 minutes today. Woo-hoo. Do you have a passion for local history, military conflict stories? These are some of the special interest areas covered by the Bayside U3A Writers Group. Today we're going to find out a bit more about how to get started and maybe even get published.
Oh, yes, I mean, there used to be so much dancing and like you know, clubs. And we were just captivated by them because they were so glamorous and gorgeous.
I need to say that I really enjoyed the piece, and I'm not sure why, because I've never been in a studio like that, but it echoed.
And there were various
classes and opera performances and all sorts.
Very, very useful, very relatable. And I can just see Liam keeping a busload of Aussie tourists under control. His quick repartee.
Hi Tom, welcome to Over 50 So What?
Thank you very much, Carol.
So you've been involved with writing for some time. You've written a number of non-fiction books.
Yes, I do a lot of writing in the non-fiction space, brought about by my interest in specific causes, such as the dementia cause, because I lost my wife to Alzheimer's disease back in 2009. And I have 2 grandsons who live with cystic fibrosis. So I write there, I write in the alcohol and other drug sector because through a business friend I got introduced to that area and became fascinated by it.
So now you write some really important works, and this is obviously a bit of a passion project too, getting the message out about these different medical problems and about, you know, drug and alcohol abuse and dealing with it. Can you tell us a bit more about your books and talk us through each one?
Well, apart from these, I've also done several corporate histories, but the book Remember Me, Mrs. V, that was published a couple of years before my wife Marie died. I started writing this when my wife was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 54. And we agreed between us, while she was still compos mentis, that we'd do everything we could to publicise the cause. And so this book was the sort of the culmination of all of that. We did lots of interviews, we got lots of publicity, lots of coverage, and felt that we participated in helping an understanding of what dementia was all about, and promoting research and you know, development of dementia-friendly communities and that sort of thing.
And this one, you just mentioned your grandsons.
Yes, this is. I have 2 grandsons. They live in Sydney. I have 6 grandchildren altogether, and these 2 both were diagnosed with cystic fibrosis just after their birth, and it's a genetic disease and it's a life-threatening disease. But the good news is that since this book was published 12 years ago, it's almost ancient history, because there's been so much advance and development in the area, and both of them are now on this new wonder drug called Trikafta, which the medical experts will tell you is the nearest thing to a cure.
Yeah, I think I've heard about that on the news, yes.
It's a fantastic advance, but the advances have been coming right the way since their birth. So I still write for their newsletters and their magazines, their online stuff, and I just want to hope that their offspring will not have to deal with what they've had to deal with.
Yeah, it's getting easier and easier.
Yes, and the belief is that eventually there will be a cure.
Oh, that's fantastic, yeah. Great. And what about all your work with the drug and alcohol dependency and the Odyssey House and how that all started, your connection with the task force?
Yes, well, it started with the history of a little agency called Task Force Community Agency, that was set up in 1973. And I was asked by a business friend called Ron Barnacle to write their history for their 40th anniversary. And it was a totally new and unknown area to me, and I quickly became very, very fascinated by it, because it's not just the alcohol and other drugs, it's the marginalisation, it's the disadvantage, it's things like domestic violence and all of this that surround the drug and alcohol issue. And to write about it and to learn about it and hopefully to inform and educate other people was a very, very rewarding experience for me. And through Task Force I met Dr. John Sherman, and so he and I co-authored this book. And John's retired now, but he had a clinic in Footscray, and he had 1,000 patients on his books, and all of them, virtually all of them, had heroin as their drug of choice. But they would use whatever came their way. And to meet them and to interview them and to learn their life histories and all of that was just a unbelievable experience for me, because I led a very sheltered life.
And now you've been able to pass that on to the readers too, so they get to experience those stories.
Yes. One hopes that if we can inform and educate the community, then there will be a more enlightened approach to the treatment, and we won't just try and push them away and isolate them and all of this, because most of them have got very, very tragic stories to tell. And as a result of my work in the area, I met the chief exec of Odyssey House Victoria, and so this was, and they would be the biggest player in the field, and they run what they call therapeutic communities, which is live-in rehabilitation facilities. The one in Melbourne is at Lower Plenty. It's an old Catholic seminary, sorry, and they have their reception and intake centre in Richmond, and they offer a wide range of services to people who are afflicted. And sadly, it's a very hard and a long journey for those people, and of course for their loved ones, for their families and their friends. And it impacts so much of our community.
Absolutely. And this is another one?
Yes, this one is a drug and alcohol rehabilitation centre that was set up just on the fringe of Bairnsdale in Gippsland, and it's managed by Odyssey House. But what impressed me about this was the way the whole community, first the Bairnsdale community, then all of East Gippsland, then of all of Gippsland, came together and set it up. And they got federal funding, they got state government funding, and it is running very, very well, and has lots of people waiting for rehab opportunities.
Well, starting off as a journalist, writing all these amazing works, why are you a member of a writers group?
Because I've had a desire to write fiction for many, many long years.
Oh, so you're going to break out.
And here I'm learning a lot more about writing fiction. We get a word of the month, and I just enjoy letting my imagination run wild. And
sort of stimulates your creativity.
Yes, it does. Correct, yes. And it's a wonderful thing to mix with other writers and to bounce ideas off each other and to share the creativity, if you like.
Thanks for joining us today. I hope you've had some fun, and maybe you've been inspired to write a book, or more importantly, having your hearing assessed. Remember, we hear with our brain. For more information on new audio or any of the guests seen on the show, please visit our website. Connect with us on Facebook, YouTube or Insta. Replays can also be found through the website, YouTube or CTV+. If you haven't got a friend or family member with you today, why not organise that for next week? Now get active, go for a walk or put on some music and boogie around the house. Movement is life. Movement is medicine. I'm Carol O'Halloran. Over 50, so what? Thanks for watching our TV show. Be sure to hit subscribe and then you'll never miss an episode. Jump on Facebook, join our group, get in on the fun, fitness, wellness and inspiration. I'm Carol, over 50, so what?